My family tried to erase me. I cut off everything they depended on. By 8 a.m., 52 unanswered calls. Their attorney said, "We need to talk." I smiled. "My name is Emily Walker." Have you ever received a message so cold, so utterly devoid of warmth, it felt like a punch to the gut? I'm talking about a 12-second voicemail from your own mother, flatly telling you, "You are out. Do not come back. We're going on without you." That's how my family tried to cut me off. But what they didn't know was that their attempt to erase me would soon become their absolute worst nightmare. Stick around, because this isn't just a story about betrayal. It's about how the person they tried to bury rose up, holding every single card. I was 32, working at a fintech startup in Denver, literally forecasting worst-case scenarios for a living. But nothing in my career, not a single risk report, prepared me for that Wednesday afternoon. The voicemail landed in my inbox, tucked between a financial projection and a forgotten, cold cup of coffee. I pressed play, and there it was, my mother's voice as flat and businesslike as if she were canceling a subscription, not her own daughter. No explanation, no emotion, just a verdict. "You are out. Do not come back. We're going on without you." I just stared at my phone, the blood thrumming in my ears. For a second, I was stunned. Then, the part of my brain that spends all day locking up other people's money quietly, coldly, clicked into place. I didn't call back. I didn't argue. I typed a single, calm text. "Okay." Then I moved. First, I accessed the family LLC, the one I'd built from the ground up, the one that held our rental properties and the triplex we were about to close on. I locked down every single privilege with my name on it. No more agreements using my credit. No more transfers without my explicit consent. Done. Next, I called the real estate agent. I backed out of that triplex transaction they were all banking on. Poof. Gone. Finally, I froze the retirement account structure I'd painstakingly created for them, making sure nothing could be modified or emptied without my knowledge. By the time my coffee was finished, so was whatever easy ride they thought they had through me. I figured that was the end of it. Oh, how wrong I was. The very next morning, my phone was absolutely buzzing. Not with an alarm, no. It was 52 missed calls. Mom, Dad, unknown numbers, and one from a law firm I instantly recognized. The most recent was a voicemail from their lawyer. I plugged in my earbuds, hit play, and started the coffee machine, a small, knowing smirk playing on my lips. "This is Benjamin Davis, attorney for James and Catherine Harris. Emily, we need to chat. This is serious. Please call back as soon as possible." His voice was tense, that kind of tight-lipped lawyer tension when they realize their clients have conveniently forgotten to mention some key details. I ended the call and just stared at the wall, listening to the coffee drip. My phone kept lighting up, text after text. "Emily, this is just a misunderstanding. Call me. We need to talk." Mom. "Kiddo, whatever happened, we can fix it. Please call us back." Dad. "We didn't mean it that way. We were upset. Come home so we can explain." Mom again. "Upset?" I thought. Funny, because her voice yesterday had been crystal clear. "You are out. Do not come back. We're going on without you." Sounded pretty damn clear to me. I scrolled through the deluge of messages, almost expecting to see Sophie's name in there somewhere. Nothing. Not a single text or missed call from my younger sister, the one who usually flooded our family group chat with the most trivial nonsense. She was awfully quiet for someone who loved being the center of attention. While the coffee brewed, I pulled up my building's security app and went straight for the front entry video feed. There it was, footage from earlier that morning. My father, standing at the glass door of my apartment building, hands deep in his pockets, staring up at my second-story unit. He checked his phone, paused like he was about to press the buzzer, then just turned around and walked away. No call, no knock. Just a retreat. My chest clenched for half a second, but I forced the feeling down. When someone shows you how easily they can cut you off, you don't rush to console them when the knife swings back their way. On my way to work, my phone kept buzzing in my bag. I let it. At my desk, I eventually sent out 3 short, sharp responses. To Mom, I am safe. I need time. To Dad, I heard the voicemail. To the lawyer, I'm not ready to speak. I've got your message. I'll react in writing. That was all I owed any of them. Just before lunch, Jenna, my coworker, slid her chair over to my desk, her voice low. You've been staring at that screen like you're going to make it explode, she said. Everything okay at home? I almost said yes, out of habit, but I stopped myself. Not really. My parents decided I'm no longer involved in the family business. Her eyebrows shot up. Are they aware that you are the family business? I shrugged. They left a voicemail. I shut things down. They're lawyers involved now. Jenna let out a slow, thoughtful whistle. Look, I'm not telling you what to do, but you know how it goes. The second money gets involved, everyone starts acting. If you make moves out of guilt, they'll interpret that as you admitting fault. Make sure every decision you make is something you'd be comfortable explaining to a judge someday. I nodded. I understood that part better than anyone. My entire job was risk management. I had spent years building systems to prevent people from quietly moving money behind each other's backs. And now I realized I'd created the perfect system to prevent my own family from doing the exact same thing to me. As I walked to the break room to refill my coffee, my phone buzzed again. A new message, unknown number. Heard you got out of the triplex because you were overwhelmed. You okay? It was a cousin from my dad's side. Overwhelmed? That was definitely not my word. It sounded exactly like something Sophie would say, blinking back fake tears. In my mind, the pieces started to click into place. Her recent job loss in marketing. Her suddenly using phrases like streamline the LLC and free up equity at Sunday dinners, as if she'd ever cared about spreadsheets. She was the only one silent now, like a puppeteer waiting off stage to see her strings play out. I stared at my phone and felt the first clean edge of anger, sharp and cold, slip into place. If Sophie was behind this, if she thought she could push me out of what I'd built and take my place while our parents just stood by, she'd picked the wrong sister to fight over money. 2 days later, I tried to pretend life was normal by doing something painfully ordinary. I visited the local coffee shop I always hit on Saturdays, the kind where the barista remembers your order and the regulars discuss inflation. I'd barely picked up my coffee when I heard someone shout my name. Emily. Hey. I turned and spotted Daniel Reed, one of my father's old friends from the garage. He clapped me on the shoulder, acting like nothing was wrong. Heard about the triplex? He asked, dropping his voice conspiratorially. Tough stuff. I grimaced. What about it? Just what your mom and Sophie were saying in the family group chat, he whispered. That you pulled out because work pressure got to you? That you were overwhelmed and it wasn't a good time for you mentally. He said mentally, like he was afraid to say breakdown. My jaw tightened. Overwhelmed. There it was again. I faked a grin, so tight it felt like it might shatter. Yeah, well, you know how rumors travel, I said. Daniel touched my arm, told me to take care, and headed for the sugar station. I practically fled the shop before my face could betray how I truly felt. Outside in the cool Denver air, I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my texts. Sophie hadn't contacted me, but she felt perfectly safe telling my extended family that I was too unstable to handle a house sale I had almost arranged. That wasn't just rumor. That was groundwork. Sitting in my car, I opened my contacts and selected a name I hadn't used in months. Matthew Adams, the financial advisor who helped me set up the first structure for our family LLC, before my parents, influenced by Sophie, moved to someone newer and flashier. Matthew picked up on the second ring. This is a surprise, Emily, he remarked. Still keeping everyone out of trouble? Working on it, I replied, my voice steady. I have a question. Has anyone tried to change ownership percentages in Mitchell Holdings LLC recently? There was a pause, so distinct I could almost hear him sitting up straighter. "I've seen some draft documents float by," he explained, a hint of hesitation in his voice. "Your mom mentioned a new advisor, asked a few hypotheticals, but I saw references to adding another family member as a managing member, and your signature line was blank. It looked messy, so I told her, nothing could move without you." I tightened my grip on the steering wheel. "Sophie is another family member, of course. Did any of it go through?" I asked. "No," he said. "The paperwork was incomplete and frankly questionable. But Emily, if someone is trying to backdoor their way into control of your LLC, you need to get ahead of it." I thanked him, hung up, and stared at the dashboard for a long time. I remembered the voicemail telling me I was out. I remembered Daniel using the word overwhelmed, and how my mother suddenly wanted a new advisor right after Sophie quit her job. This wasn't random. This was a strategy, a poorly executed legal strategy, with a heavy dose of emotional manipulation on top. As I sat there, a new message from Sophie popped up. "Finally, Emily, what are you doing? Pulling out of the house deal, worrying everyone, shutting down accounts. This is a mess and you're making it worse." My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a moment. I almost let out everything that was bubbling in my brain. Instead, I erased the draft and opened my inbox. First, I emailed the real estate agent. "Per our chat, please consider this written confirmation that I have withdrawn from the Mitchell Triplex acquisition as a borrower and principal qualification. Any additional representations that I am involved in this transaction are false and illegal. I requested an official cancellation notice be delivered to my parents, copying their lawyer." Then I started a new message. This time it was addressed to Sophie, but worded in the exact same way I'd send any other risk escalation at work. "Sophie, this email serves as formal notice that any effort to change ownership, signature authority, or financial structure of Mitchell Holdings LLC, any affiliated properties or retirement funds, without my written authorization is illegal and may constitute fraud. Do not sign my name. Do not assume my approval. Any such action shall be documented and reported to legal counsel. No screaming. No name calling. Just facts and consequences." I sent it, then placed my phone face down on the passenger seat. By the time I arrived home, my call record showed 7 more attempts from Mom, 3 from Dad, and still nothing from Sophie. At my place, I opened my laptop and created a new folder, Family Risk File. I sent screenshots of messages, the lawyer's voicemail, Matthew's notes, and the email I'd just written. Every gesture, every lie, every attempt to portray me as unstable, it all went in there. Because if Sophie was creating a tale where I was the problem, the weak link to be torn out so she could slide in, I was going to create a better one. One supported by timestamps and documentation. And I couldn't help but wonder, as the files piled up on my laptop, how many families end up like this because one person values the truth less than the victim, character they've been playing their whole lives. 4 days later, an unknown number appeared on my screen in the middle of a spreadsheet. I almost let it go to voicemail until I noticed the firm's name. "This is Emily." "Hi, Emily. This is Jason Liu, your parents' new financial advisor." The word "new" made me sit up. He explained he'd been looking into the LLC and retirement accounts and found draft paperwork adding Sophie as a co-trustee or managing member, with my name included as an approver, but no actual signature for me. "To be clear, Jason," I stated, "I have not approved anything. I haven't signed a thing since the day I set it up." Jason sighed. "I assumed your family was under the impression you'd walked away, and these adjustments were what you desired. The term overwhelmed came up, and I wanted your confirmation for compliance. Treat every request as unapproved until you see my live signature," I advised him. "If someone claims otherwise, ask for written proof. You won't get any." My cousin Megan called after we'd hung up. "Are you okay?" she exclaimed. "Because the way Sophie has been talking, it sounds like you're falling apart." "What's Sophie saying?" I asked. "That you pulled out of the triplex, because of anxiety, that you hoard control of the LLC, that you threaten to cut mom and dad off financially. Megan rattled off. Now she's posting about abuse of power and families. None of that is true, I said. Megan dropped her voice. I didn't think so. It doesn't sound like the Emily who paid for their roof. I just wanted you to know what was being said. Thanks, I said. Screenshot if you feel like it. Otherwise, don't feed her audience. We hung up. A second later, an email thread appeared in my inbox. Subject: Mitchell Triplex Purchase Update. It came from our agent, Susan, with my parents, Sophie, and Matthew, the lawyer, copied. Sophie's note, quoted beneath her response, read, Susan, as we mentioned, Emily has withdrawn due to personal mental health difficulties. We need to move forward without her. Please respect her limitations. Sophie had written that, sounding so compassionate my skin crawled. Susan's response was succinct. Thank you, Sophie. For liability, I'll need written confirmation directly from Emily, and we'll pause the file for now. I started typing before the rage subsided. Hi, Susan, I wrote. Attached are my written withdrawal from 2 days ago and the pre-approval documents. I'm not leaving due to mental health issues. I'm withdrawing because I no longer want my name, credit, or income utilized in the present family situation. Any other depiction of my choice is incorrect. Thank you for pausing the file, Emily. I copied Benjamin and Matthew and included every single document demonstrating I had been the driver from the beginning. Susan responded swiftly to the little group. Understood. I will ignore Sophie's previous reply and solely follow your directions. Matthew sent a modest email, received. We should discuss future actions. That night, I found an envelope with my mother's handwriting affixed to my apartment door. Inside, on lined paper, she'd written, We love you. We were emotional. Please call us so we can fix this before it goes too far. Love, Mom. My chest wrenched for a moment. I imagined her at the kitchen table, crafting the tale, as Sophie paced and wept. My phone vibrated again. Megan had emailed a snapshot of Sophie's latest post. Sometimes the most dangerous member in a family is the one who has complete control over the money and punishes you for disobeying. It continued, healing means walking away from people who weaponize their power, even if they share your last name. The responses beneath were filled with hearts. And you go, girl. I placed my mother's note next to my laptop and opened the folder called Family Risk File. Emails, voicemails, advisor notes, and screenshots were neatly organized in rows. Up until now, I'd just been closing doors. As the data piled up, I knew protection wasn't enough. If Sophie wanted to create a narrative where I was the villain, I was going to respond with something she couldn't spin. A plain, documented story that left her standing alone in the light. The next morning, at work, my phone vibrated with a fresh text from my mother. No argument. Just 10 minutes. Please. I gazed at it. 10 minutes wouldn't fix a message telling me not to come back. But it sounded more like her than anything she'd sent in weeks. Call me, I wrote. She responded quickly, and I heard the faint speaker echo. Your dad is here too, she continued. Hey, kiddo, my dad chimed in. You wanted 10 minutes, I said. Mom exhaled. We messed up, Emily. Saying you're out, don't come back, that was extreme. We shouldn't have said it like that. You didn't, I told her, my voice flat. You said exactly that. She paused, then tried again. Your sister told us things. She said that you were planning to cut us out of the LLC, talking to lawyers about removing us from retirement accounts, saying you were tired of carrying us and wanted full control. She said you told her after dinner in the car. None of that ever occurred, I responded. Did you hear those words from me directly? Well, no, Mom admitted. Sophie said you talked in the car on the way home. I took my own car that night, I said. I left alone. There was no car ride. Dad cursed softly. Why would she make that up? Mom muttered, but it seemed like she already knew the answer. Maybe because she wanted what I have, I said. If I am unstable and power-hungry, sliding herself into documents. Looks like protecting you, not using you. Dad exhaled. This is past family drama now. Matthew called. Jason called. Susan paused the house. I know, I said. That's why I'm done with whispers. We're going to sit down, all four of us in the same room. No speakerphone. No vague posts. I'll bring documents. You bring everything Sophie told you. Then we'll see what survives. Do we have to involve lawyers? Mom inquired. They're already involved, I explained. The question is whether they see Sophie's story first or the evidence. When? Dad asked. Tomorrow, 6 o'clock at the house, I said. If Sophie won't come, that's an answer, too. The next evening, I entered my folks' living room with a hefty folder under my arm. Same beige couch, same framed school photographs, an entirely different atmosphere. My parents sat together on the sofa. Sophie sat in an armchair, a tissue clutched as a prop. She wouldn't look at me. Thanks for coming, Dad remarked. I placed the folder and my phone on the coffee table. Just so we're clear, I stated. Nothing about this is off the record in my head. If anyone lies, I won't keep it here. Sophie sneered. Wow, way to make this hostile. We're family. Then the truth shouldn't scare anyone, I said. Mother twisted her hands. Sophie, honey, tell Emily what you told us. No, I cut in. Sophie can speak for herself. Go ahead. Sophie rolled her eyes. I just repeated what you said, she snapped. That you were done carrying everything. That you were thinking of pulling your name off things. That you wanted full control of the LLC so you didn't have to consult them. And this was in the car after dinner, right? I asked. She nodded. Yeah. You were upset. You probably don't even remember. I opened the folder, retrieved a printed statement, and passed it across. That night at Harbor Grill, right? Check the timestamps. Mom's gaze shifted down the page. Sophie's rideshare receipt arrived at their residence around 10:25. My petrol station charge across town was 10:23. Different routes, different cars, I informed them. I drove myself. You took a car alone. There was no car conversation. Maybe it was another night, Sophie responded hurriedly. Before you say that, I added, flicking to another paper, here's the only other time we all had dinner in the last 4 months. That night, you left early to meet friends. I stayed to pay. No private ride then, either. Dad leaned back, gently. Sophie, he spoke softly. She shrugged. Memory is weird. Okay, I was trying to help. I thought she was serious about needing a break. Next, I showed the email to Susan. My withdrawal was issued before Sophie's mental health update. Then Susan's response, stating she'd ignore anything that didn't come from me. Then Jason's message concerning draft paperwork with my name but not signed. Next, screenshots of Sophie's social media posts and Megan's replies. One by one, the pages formed a damning path from my voicemail to this couch. Mom eventually turned to Sophie. You told us you saw emails, she said quietly. You told us Emily said she was done with us. Sophie sat up taller. So now you just believe her because she printed things, she said, her voice rising. She's always liked control. She's twisting everything to make me look crazy. Dad placed his gaze on her. The truth doesn't fall apart when you hold it next to a receipt, he told her, his voice firm. Yours did. Mom stared at me, and for the first time since the voicemail I noticed something change. We always thought you could handle more, she told me, her voice thick with emotion. We saw Sophie as fragile, so we protected her and pushed responsibility onto you. And now I am sitting here realizing the only person who has lied to us is the one we told not to come back. Sophie opened her lips, but Mom raised a hand. Not this time, she said quietly. The word no dropped between them like a stone, and I felt something inside me gently return to place. They had attempted to edit me out based on a screenplay Sophie made. They were now watching that screenplay burn, page by page, realizing they were only seconds away from losing the one person who had kept them afloat. The hush following my mother's no sat like a fifth person in the room. Sophie squirmed in her chair, her gaze flitting between our parents and me, checking which way the wind was blowing. "So what now?" she said eventually. "You've got your little packet of papers. Congratulations, Emily. Are you happy you made Mom cry?" I didn't respond to the comment. "This is not about anyone crying," I explained. "It's about consequences. You told me I was out. You tried to push through changes behind my back, and you told others I was unstable so you could take over the things I established. That can't just be a sad Facebook post with everyone pretending it never occurred." My father scratched his jaw as if he were lining up a tough repair in his thoughts. "What do you think should happen?" he inquired. Sophie snapped her head towards him. "Seriously, Dad, you're asking her?" I caught his gaze. "You wanted me out of the family business?" I asked. "Fine. I'll step back from being the default safety net. But that also means no one gets to quietly use my name, my credit, or my work. Starting with making sure Sophie has zero access to anything I've set up." My mother hesitated. "Sophie doesn't have access," she said. But I shook my head. "Not formally, maybe," I said. "But she's been in meetings. She's been in group chats about the triplex. She's been talking to advisors like decisions were already moving in her favor. That stops today." Dad exhaled and glanced at Sophie. "Honey," he added, "we need to be clear here. No more speaking to advisors on our behalf. No more implying Emily is okay with things when she is not." Sophie blinked hard. "So, you're just going to cut me out?" she said, her voice becoming high and thin. "After everything I have done for you?" I couldn't help myself from asking, "What exactly is that? The Instagram story about being raised by wolves in the suburbs, or the half-baked business plans you wanted me to fund?" Mom flinched, but did not chastise me this time. "James," she spoke gently, "maybe we should make it official. No additional beneficiaries, no shared accounts, no promises we can't keep. We've been saying for years we'd help Sophie start something, pay off this card, co-sign that loan. All it has done is make her think she's entitled to money that isn't there until Emily builds it." I gazed at her, astonished by her bluntness. Catherine turned to face me. "We want you to rewrite the documents," she told me. "The LLC, the retirement stuff, all of it, based on what you think actually makes sense, not what we say in the middle of a fight." I gazed at her. "You're asking me to take control again after you just told me to get out?" I responded with caution. She nodded, her eyes moist. "I'm asking you to do what you have been doing this whole time," she told me. "Only this time with us admitting you know more than we do." Sophie gave a bitter chuckle. "Unbelievable. You're handing her everything. You're punishing me because I told the truth about how she treats us." Dad gazed at her attentively. "The truth would have held up against a gas receipt," he told her. "Yours didn't. That is the difference." Sophie became visibly shaken for the first time since she stepped in. Her gaze shifted to me, looking for an older version of me who would offer a lifeline. I did not. James drew a breath. "Here's what we're going to do," he continued, adopting the strong tone he used to maintain at the business. "Emily, you and Benjamin and Matthew figure out whatever it takes to make the LLC and the retirement accounts bulletproof. You and I remain the only managing members. Your mom is a beneficiary. Sophie is not in any position of control anywhere. If we help her, it will be from our own pockets, not by opening back doors into what you built." Sophie sat forward. "You can't just erase me like that," she said. "I'm your daughter, too." My mother winced. "We are not erasing you," she explained. "We're stopping pretending money we don't have is going to fall from the sky because we put your name on something Emily made. If we ever help you, it will be because you have a real plan and we can actually afford it, not because we feel guilty." Sophie changed tactics. So quickly it made my head spin. "Fine," she responded, tearing up. "Then let me prove it, Emily. Give me a small role in the LLC. Let me do social media or something. Let me show you I can contribute instead of just taking. It was almost astonishing how she transitioned from fury to appealing to the perspective that made her appear most reasonable. A year ago, I might have fallen for it. Now, I saw another variant of the same pattern. I rose and grabbed my folder. No, I said with a smile. If you want to prove you can build something, you don't do it by wiring yourself into what someone else has already built. You do it by starting with nothing like I did. My mother stared between us. Emily, isn't that a little harsh? She inquired quietly. I shook my head. Harsh was being told I was out and should not come back, I informed them. Harsh was having my stability used as a prop to get sympathy online. This is just boundaries, Mom. There's a difference. Sophie scowled at me and snarled. You are going to regret this. You think you can cut me off and walk away clean. I grabbed my phone and placed it inside my backpack. No, I said. I think I can protect what I have earned and stop you from turning my work into your safety net. Whatever happens to you after that is not on me. On my way out, my father led me to the door. I am sorry, he murmured gently, for the voicemail, for not asking you first, for letting it get this far. I believed what was easiest to hear. I nodded, feeling a complex combination of relief and melancholy pour over me. I know, I replied, but believing the easy story does not mean the consequences are easy, too. Over the next week, the adjustments were tangible. Jason handed along amended versions with simply mine and James' names in the control positions. Benjamin planned a meeting where my parents signed agreements restricting who could access their accounts. I amended the LLC operating agreement to specifically specify that no new managing member could be joined without the unanimous written permission of current members. There was no line where Sophie's name might be written afterward. When the final signature dried, I felt something settle into place. Revenge is not a spectacular event, but rather a framework, a system in which the individual who attempted to force me out no longer had any access. Sophie arrived at my workplace unexpectedly a few days later, eyes wide and crimson, and asked the receptionist for me. She was clutching a binder, the kind you'd use to present a project. I greeted her in the lobby, arms crossed. I have a business plan, she continued, shoving the binder at me. Events, brand partnerships, influencer collaborations. If you just invest a little, I can pay you back and prove everyone wrong. I did not take the binder. Start it without me, I said. If it works, you won't need my money. If it doesn't, you'll know why. Her face crumpled as fury and terror competed for space. You are really not going to help me, she said quietly. Not after everything. I recalled Matthew's warning, Jason's caution, Megan's screenshots, my mother's message, my father's silent apologies, and the voicemail that started everything. I'm done helping people set themselves on fire with my gasoline, I told her. Then I turned and walked back through the locked door to my floor, leaving her binder, and everything else on the other side. 2 months later, I stood in the driveway of a pale brick triplex on the outskirts of Denver, carrying a box of kitchen supplies and watching my parents quarrel over where to place a bird feeder. The bottom unit was now theirs, formally documented with a clause stating that they could live there for the rest of their life without anybody touching it. My flat was on the second level with large windows that let in plenty of light. The third unit was already available for rental. The figures were penciled in a spreadsheet that I had complete control over. Sophie had attempted to sneak into Mitchell Holdings LLC, which was now leaner and cleaner. My father and I are the only managing members. My mother is the beneficiary, and there are more precautions than any family turmoil could shake free. There are no side doors, leaving no space for artistic adaptation. On weekend evenings, I'd come down to cook with my mother in her new kitchen while my father watched a car show in the living room. We didn't go over every detail again, but we stopped acting as if money was this mystical fog that no one understood. I'd open the accounts on my laptop and guide them through what was actual rather than what they wished was genuine. It wasn't flawless. When Sophie's name came up, Their eyes were still filled with sadness and remorse. But suddenly, when she texted to beg for assistance with another credit card, my mother would show me the message, then set her phone face down and remark, "We can't fix this for her. Not this way." According to cousins, Sophie ended up in a modest apartment across town, hopping between gigs. Her grandiose event plans never fully took off. People began to realize that her stories always had a villain and a spotlight. For once, I wasn't in either position. I didn't sue her. I didn't attempt to damage her online. I did something quieter, and to me, crisper. I took away her perceived power and allowed her to have a life independent of my profession. I wasn't furious any longer. I was clear. It's clear that trust without limits is an invitation for the wrong person to walk in and disrupt everything. It is clear that being the strong one in a family does not imply that you should allow others to use your power against you. If there is one takeaway from all of this, it is that you may love your family, but refuse to be their insurance policy when they gamble with the truth. You may forgive without returning the keys. And if somebody tells you you're out, don't come back, you're permitted to believe them. Step back and ask yourself a more difficult question. What should I cease allowing them access to from this point forward? Perhaps you have your own interpretation of this story, a time when someone treated your loyalty like a credit card with no limits. If you do, I hope you realize sooner than I did that saying no is not retaliation. It is self-respect. And sometimes something is more important to safeguard than the house itself. Tell me, what would you have done in my place? Have you ever faced something like this? I really want to know.